why this video did not go up on Monday the way it was supposed to. If you hear me sounding nasally, or you see me drink some tea or pop a cough drop, that would be why, because I'm not feeling the best. So, because my to read piles have kind of been accumulating differently lately, I've been reading a lot more. I'm going to try and do some reviews for you guys. I've never done reviews before, so this will actually be my very first one. But I wanted to start off letting you guys know the couple of books that I'm adding to my to-read pile. So I have only gotten through the first 4 books of the Parasol Protectorate. I am currently on book 5. See? So the 2 books that I'm at, so along with the Custard Protocol books, Prudence and Imprudence, and the Hollows book that I'm going to be reading called The Turn, I believe, by Kim Harrison. I also have another Gail Carriger book. Peel that off. This is actually a novella by her, Poison or Protect. It's a standalone novella. She does have a few other novellas out, I know. A couple of them are tied to different series that she's written. The other book that I'm adding to my to-read pile is a Melanie Dickerson book. I believe this is a brand new one. It's called The Viscount's Proposal by Melanie Dickerson. This is part of the Regency Spy series that she just recently started. There's another one by her. The first one, Regency Spies of London series. The first one is called A Spy's Devotion. I might have mentioned that one in a previous to-read pile. I did read it. It was very good. She also writes reimagined fairy tales in medieval fairy tales, all of which are have no magic in them. So if you're one who does not really like supernatural or magic-y things in their book, she would definitely be a good one to read, because she deals with all of hers are very like they could actually happen, and they're set. One of them is set in, one series is the Hagenheim series. I believe that's more German based. I don't know exactly. I thought all of them are really good. So I will also let you know too that she is a spiritual writer. So God plays a big part in these books. All of the characters are very spiritual people. So keep that in mind too when you're picking that up. So today's review is going to be on the Parasol Protectorate books, and they have been so funny. Like, I would be sitting in the break room at work kind of giggling to myself, because the main character just cracks me up. So I'm going to try and make this kind of a short and sweet video. I don't want to do too much because I don't want to give away a whole lot. So really I'm going to talk about a little bit about the main character. Her name is Alexia Taraboti. She is a preternatural, and she's soulless. So what does that mean? Being a soulless, so I'll also let you know there are 2, besides the human community, there are also 2 other communities. There are the supernatural community, which is divided up into ghosts, werewolves, and vampires. And then the preternatural community, which as far as we know is just the soulless. They don't really go into any other preternaturals, just soulless, as far as I know. So, Alexia is soulless, and what does that mean? That means that when she touches a supernatural being, they revert back to their mortal ways of being. So, she touches, with the exception, so with a ghost, they actually, when she touches their human body, they die. Like, the ghost vanishes and goes to wherever it is ghosts go. And when she touches a vampire, they become human, and when she touches a werewolf, they become human. And it doesn't seem to matter if she's wearing gloves or clothes or whatever over her hands. She just has to touch them, and they turn human. So, being said, being a Soulless, she is has no conscience, really, no no sympathy or empathy for people. So that's part of what made these books so hilarious to me, is she really had to work to be sympathetic. She really had to work to do the right thing, because she thought in logic. Everything had to be logical. It had to make sense logically for her to want to do it. She didn't really think of emotions at all. So that's part of why I absolutely adored the series. So, by the way, today's tea that I'm drinking is peppermint, Twinings peppermint. Let's see, little tag. I've been kind of being sick. I've been going back and forth between the Twinings peppermint and the buttermint, which I think is new. The buttermint, it tastes like those little melty mints that you get at like weddings or baby showers or something. They're super good. So anyway, so a couple of other characters worth mentioning besides Alexia are her husband, Lord Conall Maccon. He is the alpha werewolf of the Wolsey Pack, which is based in London by the end of book 4. Lord Akeldama is another one. He's one of Alexia's friends. He's a vampire, and there is actually crossover from another series, the Finishing School series. He is mentioned in a couple of those books. So that's pretty cool seeing that. Genevieve Lefoux is another one who also has a lot of crossover between the Finishing School books and this series. It's really cool with her character because you see her a lot in the Finishing School series, and she's only 12, like 11 or 12 in those books. So to see her as like a mid-30s grown woman in these books is really interesting to see how she grew up and how her character has progressed between the two series. Another one is Lady Kingair. I cannot for the life of me say her first name, so I'll type it in the description box. I'll list the main characters worth mentioning, down below in the description box, and you guys can try. You guys can try and pronounce it. I know it's a Scottish name, but I cannot. I've tried and I've listened to it, and I still can't get it. So. But she also has crossover from the Finishing School series. She is really good friends with the main character in the Finishing School series, and has to leave towards the end of the series for events that are described in this book. But again, the Finishing School series is 20 years in the future, or 20 years in the past. This is 20 years in the future. This is 1840s. The Finishing School series was 1820s. So again, it was really cool to see how her character progressed. I think that's all for the crossover characters. There might be a couple. The Countess, who is the queen of the Westminster Hive, a hive of vampires. She is also a crossover character, but she's not in all of the books. You only see her a couple times through the whole series. But she's kind of important in a couple of the books. Alexia's other best friend, Ivy, is a pretty important character. She is, by the end of the books, she is Ivy Tunstall. She ends up getting married, and Ivy is considered eccentric, not only because she's friends with Alexia, but because of her hats. Some of the hats that are described in these books are just hilarious, and you wonder why anybody would wear something like that. But Ivy does. Ivy loves them. She loves her hats. So that's pretty funny. Professor Lyall is the Lord Maccon's second. So Lord Maccon is the alpha of the pack. Professor Lyall is the beta, and he has some secrets that you find out in book 4 that are quite shocking, considering he is a very reserved character. Flute is another character that is very important. He is Alexia's servant of sorts. He pretty much does everything. He was her father's valet and is the only connection to her father that Alexia has, because you will find out in the series that Alexia has never met her father, and you will find out why in the series. Biffy is another character that comes in. He's not throughout. I don't think he's really in the first book a whole lot, but he is in the last few. He becomes a pretty important character, and he started off as Lord Akeldama's one of his drones, and things happen, and I'm not going to tell you what, but he ends up being turned. I won't tell you into what. He ends up being turned, but he does end up being a very important character later on. And actually, I'm kind of thinking he's going to be important in this book, because there have been a couple of sections that have just been just like him and maybe another unimportant character, or another character that's less commented on. So, yeah. But yeah, those are pretty much the important characters so far. I loved this series because the whole series was basically Alexia trying to figure out why she is the way she is, why the things that happen to her happen, because nobody really knows a whole lot about preternaturals. Nobody really knows a lot about Soulless. So she is basically trying to figure out she's trying to figure out who she is. Because again, she has not met her father. She's never met her father, and you find out why in book 2, why she's never met her father. 2 or 3, book 2 or 3. You find out why in book 2 she's never met her father, but it goes into more depth in book 3. And then she's also trying to navigate her way around the supernatural community too, because she marries Lord Maccon, who is a werewolf, and she's trying to figure out how to maneuver around everything. So I would give these books 5 out of 5 stars, because they were all so good. And actually on my Goodreads, which I'm going to put a link to down below, they were really good books. And I don't really do reviews on Goodreads, because I usually just put the rating, because I don't normally have a lot of time to type things, because I'm usually doing it like on my break at work or something. So I usually just rate them stars, like how many stars. And the only one that I think I gave them all 5 out of 5 stars. The only one that I wasn't really impressed with was book number 4. Like I said, I'm on book number 5. Book number 4 was Heartless. Again, I wasn't super impressed with that one, but 1 out of 5. I mean, that was probably, and again, it didn't follow along the same lines as the other books that I think the plot was a little different. It didn't have anything to do with her being soulless. It had to do with other things. I mean, I guess it kind of had to do with being soulless, but not in the same way that the other ones have so far. The other ones have definitely been her journey, trying to figure out who she is, as far as who her father is, who her family is, what it means to be soulless and a preternatural. Whereas book number 4 was very was more personal stuff, I guess. Not that I didn't enjoy it. I really enjoyed the first 3, and I'm really enjoying this one so far. So yeah. If you guys have any questions about any of the books that I've talked about, any of the things that I've talked about, make sure you comment below with your questions. I will try to, again, leave a list of the characters down below, and I'll also list all 5 of the books by Gail Carriger in the Parasol Protectorate. The next video that I do, I'm hoping to talk a little bit about the Custard Protocol books, hopefully. Yeah, so I'll see you guys again soon. Oh, hi, kitty. I'll see you guys again soon. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again. Bye!